Did you hear the gillow noises last night? I heard them. For you, they would have been fireworks. For me, they were these terrible sounds that burn through your brain because there are people being killed 2 miles away from where we live, shaking the ground in my own apartment. It's really hard to sleep when people are intentionally killing each other. Gilo is a suburb of Yerushalayim. I wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock to Shema Yisrael. And then on Kol Yisrael, I hear the daily blood count of dead children. I want to utter a tza'aka gdola. I want to go up, a loud cry. I want to go up on the highest mountain and say, just dayenu, dayenu, stop this. Stop this. I don't care which children are being killed. They're all God's children. I've learned that peace is just a word until you lack it. There once were 2 cats of Kilkenny who each thought there was 1 cat too many. So they fought and they bit and they scratched and they hit until instead of 2 cats, there weren't any. Northern Ireland Kilkenny is a Northern Ireland. It solved a lot of its problems. I believe we can, but we will not do so unless we get beyond mythology, myth, misinformation, unless we get to a stage of honesty and clarity, which means breaking out of ideologies which can actually kill if we get too tracked into them. Children are being killed and killing because of the education system that they're being taught of hatred. And we're all highly confused. And from the words of my chevra, L'Shem Shemaim, I'm going to give a little bit of rebuttal and then move into some words of my own. Chevra, in 1966, there was no kibush, no occupation. The Syrians were shooting daily on the kibbutzim at the foot of the Golan, the Kinneret. They were shooting every single day from Jordan over the Jordan into Israel. They were sniping from the walls of the old city in Yerushalayim, and the Fedayeen were coming over from Gaza, which was then under Egyptian occupation, if you like, into the fields of the kibbutzim and laying mines. So I don't believe that this red herring, unfortunately, is the answer. The answers lie much more deeply than that. The Seger, the closure of the West Bank, I hate it with a vengeance. And you know, the truth is that when I was comparing and preparing some of the material I prepared for this, that same day I read in the newspapers, in both the Canadian Globe and Mail, I was in Canada at that time with my kids, and also I saw it in the Jerusalem Post on the internet, that they tried to open the Seger, this closure that was being referred to by my chevra here, and within literally hours, armed Palestinians had shot 3 Israeli civilians driving through those areas. Whether or not we approve of the settlers, these are human beings who have a right to live. And at the moment, our children are being targeted. This place, this village, Hares, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, is the Palestinian showplace where they take people to show Israeli aggression. Israeli aggression. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. I want to talk just for a moment about the Al-Aqsa Intifada. Everyone talks about this as the Al-Aqsa Intifada because Sharon foolishly decided to make a show of force and go to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and all hell broke loose. But all hell was apparently going to be breaking loose long before that. We were talking about it at Purim, many months before, when the Pope was making his visit. The peace talks that were being pushed forth in this frenzied, far too uncontrolled way, they were not going to succeed. It wasn't a genuine peace. They were not genuine peacemakers. And we were talking then about something blowing up. And in May, the first of the days of rage were declared by Arafat. And already we had masked marches, we had shooting in the air, we had stonings, and we had hatred. So I think it is so incredibly critical that we ground ourselves in some realities and break through some of these mythologies. And to do this, I want to read just a couple of things that are quite old, that have given me nightmares. This is my bedroom reading that gives me a real kick in the guts, deja vu. The outcome of an Israeli withdrawal and surrender of territory is not that the Arabs of Judea and Samaria would become an independent political unit, but that they would be subjected at once to a violent power struggle of each of such groups as the Fatah, sponsored by one or the other Arab governments. Then Judea and Samaria would become the base and battleground once more for the next final war for Israel's annihilation. 1973. I lie in bed, devastated that this could be the essence of what I've been living with that day. Hearing gunfire, feeling the ground shaking. Here it's fireworks, there it's artillery. Another one. A prominent Arab-Palestinian strategist, Ayla wrote, "The image of Israel as a weak nation surrounded by enemies seeking its annihilation evaporated to be successfully replaced by the image of an aggressive nation challenging world opinion." Ayla recommended sham peace talks, with a continuing, however, of the state of no peace, and he advocated the maintaining of moral pressure together with carefully balanced military tension. This was in 1974. And the words of a much earlier strategist, "The people are in great need of a myth to fill their consciousness and imagination." I see the result of this myth when children go out to throw stones and get killed. I see the result of this myth in what we're living with every day, the dimensions of this balanced military tension, as all of us in the Middle East, Palestinians and Israelis, try to live and to stay alive in this region. And I remember some of the other aspects of the myth in 1967, when the English language reports were saying that Tel Aviv was about to fall. You know, I remember seeing in 67 and 68 in the army in the West Bank some of the educational material that was handed to Palestinian children. It's brutal to manipulate human beings like that. And that brings me to the refugees. King Hussein of Jordan, the ex-king, the late King Hussein, who was eulogized in the Israeli media as beloved enemy, spoke about how disgusting it was that these people were manipulated in this way, that they were not allowed to be repatriated to other countries, but were kept as a fifth column, to be brought into Israel to fester as a sore within, instead of being allowed to have their own, their own lives. I know so well that this isn't good enough for us, and it's certainly not good enough for them. I have seen so much material on Israeli aggression, and my friend Rabbi Mordechai also addressed this. There are such double standards. I'm not denying that disgusting acts happen on both sides, but you know something? If the suburbs of Niagara Falls in New York or in New York or in Canada came under fire from each other, what would you folks do? If you couldn't go shopping, walk down the street, enter a mall or restaurant, drive home from work without the danger of being blown to pieces, what would you do? Chevra, these are our realities.